Snow can wait, I forgot my mittens. Wipe my nose, get my new boots on. And get a little warm in my heart when I think of.
Welcome, audience. My name is Timothy Melbinger. I am a professor of music and a music theorist. I describe music. I analyze music and tell you what it is I think or I find attractive about it and what I think most of you also probably find attractive about it. Now, I know many of you bring different levels of musical knowledge to the table. That's okay. I'm going to try to give the analysis in plain English, or at least as close as I can. You probably won't catch everything. That's okay. What I'd like is for you to walk away, first of all, liking the song more. Okay? I guarantee today's song and every song in my video series, you will hear things through my analysis in the song that you didn't even know were there. And then um, hopefully you'll be able to apply some of the ideas to different songs because, well, this song is good, but it's not the only example of some of the things I'm going to talk about. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's get right away. Let's get to Winter by Tori Amos. American singer-songwriter Tori Amos released her first solo album in 1992 on Capitol Records. It's called Little Earthquakes. It was the first week of 1992. It was released in the UK, but then they had to wait. She had to wait until the fall for the United States release of this. Okay, critical acclaim. In fact, so much so that she has not been able to replicate that in the 29 years since. However, the song has endured, and her career has endured, and her fan base has stayed pretty loyal to her. Okay, so she writes the song alone, but we have three other fellows who get production credit on the album, and that's Eric Ross, David Segerson, and Ian Stanley. Now she is playing piano and singing. We only have a couple other things going on. Something called the Irish war drum, played by Ross, and more on that when we get to it. And then the other thing is orchestra, which is several instruments, of course. We have a full string section, winds, and brass here. Now, that was arranged and conducted by a guy named Nick DeCaro, and I don't know how much DeCaro collaborated with Amos. Presumably, she had to sign off on everything he did, but his contribution is important to the song, as I'll get into. Okay, so as in most of the songs that Amos wrote, she uses the time tested uh, technique of writing extremely personal references such that they're almost too personal, but it works. She draws us into her world, and well, we believe her. Okay, um, and this song in particular has a format with the lyrics at least that well is popular in many contemporary country songs. But and I'm not saying she invented it, but what's going on is she's telling a story of something that happens early in her life, and then something that happens apparently in her teenage years, and then something that happens several years later. Not clear. She could be in her 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s even. Um, so it over the span of the 4 minutes, 5 minutes of the song, we get the passage of time of something like 30, 40, 50 years. Hard to tell. It's not clear. Okay, along the way, we have more than just Amos's voice. Okay, yes, she's the only one singing, but she tells us several times when someone else, her father, is speaking. Now, I don't know if the song is autobiographical, but it doesn't matter. It's important that it's a young woman and her father. There's an intergenerational connection happening here that well most people can decide or can judge for themselves what that means to them. Perhaps no, the father is good in this case. He's got important things to say, right? So um, she learns from him. Okay, one of my theses here is that they don't really connect in the first two-thirds of the song, and then finally in the end they do, and that's something that's important. Okay, um, so I think also that's why the song has endured for the time for so long, and with her fans, because her fans probably got on board when she was young, and they were young. Okay, 20s, high school, hard to say. And they have grown old with her. So while the song grows old in 5 minutes, um, it's Amos looking into the future as to what would probably happen if this kind of relationship kept going in that direction, right? Okay, so we have a woman singing with wisdom beyond her years. It's a little like Joni Mitchell and Both Sides Now. And yes, I will give an analysis of that in a video coming soon. But the her fans are able to age over the years with the song, and then actually experience some of the life changes, the life stages that she's singing about. Okay, so let's get right to the notes and rhythms. What's on the page? What are you hearing here besides, the story of the lyrics? I got nothing against the lyrics, okay? It's just that you wouldn't like the lyrics. I wouldn't like the lyrics if the music were tremendously simple. Okay, not the same. Agreed? Right? If you know the song, I bet you really enjoy the melodies, the harmonies, the rhythms. Okay, I bet you'd even enjoy it without her voice. Okay, one of the things I'm going to try to argue for here is that she constructed the music to support her themes in the lyrics. Okay, and the best music always does this. Okay, this is not new. This has gone back, well, thousands of years. Okay, so our key. She's using the scale of what some people call E flat um, natural minor, and what is also called E flat Aeolian, a modal scale. Sounds like this. Okay, 5 black keys on the piano. Extremely rare for rock music. Now, I haven't looked at enough of Amos's music to know if it's extremely rare for her. I will say it's a little easier for a piano player to play in E flat minor than it is in the very common rock key of just E minor. Okay, the black keys, well, they stick up there. They're easy to reach. Okay, nevertheless, we're not used to hearing songs in that key. Okay, it gives the song a slightly different flavor from the very first note and throughout. Now she's going to change keys along the way, and that's important, and I'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, so the first thing we hear in the song is what some people call an introduction, but I like to describe what the introduction is introducing us to. Okay, and in this case, it's the verse accompaniment. When she starts singing, after, I don't know, 20 seconds, something like that, it's called verse 1, and the exact melody, the exact harmony that we've heard in her piano introduction continues as the verse accompaniment. So we are introduced to an important part of the song with the same melody, just about, that she's going to be singing. So let's have a look at this. Okay, now I've got it over here in my examples, and you can see a couple things, I hope. Oh, hey, here's 6 flats. That's what E flat minor is like. For those of you in the know, even the key, even the pitch C is flat here. So that means it's not even C anymore. It's C flat. It's actually better known as B. Um, all right. So what about the harmony? Okay, there's a cycle of 4 chords here: E flat minor, B flat minor 7, C flat major. Yeah, I said C flat major, all right. And then A flat minor with an added B flat. In that order. Okay, so we hear that cycle. I don't know, I haven't counted how many times in the song, but four of them make one verse. Okay, so the most important thing is the beginning, the E flat minor, and the next two chords are nice, but the last one seems to conclude vocal fragments. Okay, the end of a line of poetry, the end of a musical phrase, the end of a sentence often. Okay, so it's that A flat add B flat chord that also has some importance because it is after that that we hear the cycle begin, right? So the beginning and the end of the cycle are always going to be more important in not just this song, in just about any song. Okay, so the melody, well, first of all, it's above middle C, way up here. Okay, um, this is the beginning of how I think she's painting the picture that it is winter. Why would that be? Well, everything's above middle C. Our piano start the left hand part way up this high. And yes, the piano part, her left hand will get below a little bit below middle C momentarily, but then it reaches up higher. Sorry, and there we go. Okay, there's something about the right hand part that makes it sound more like winter for me. Now, I don't know if she intended this or not, but this is how I've always heard it from the very first time, and I think I'm right. I bet if I could get to interview her, hey, those of you who know her, please put her in touch. I would like to interview her about this. But okay, these are all called perfect intervals. That's called a fourth. Okay, perfect fourth. Here's another perfect fourth. It jumps up to a perfect fifth. Another perfect fifth. Another perfect fifth. Jumps down to a perfect fourth, and another perfect fifth. Okay, now over the last thousand years, these two intervals, the perfect fourth and perfect fifth, have been described in many ways. Some people describe them as hollow, right? Maybe. Okay. Some people describe them as powerful, especially when they're low. Hear it? Yeah. This high though. Okay, above middle C, we usually hear different intervals. Something called the third. Okay, or the sixth. Okay, much sweeter sounds above middle C, typically. Right, she didn't invent this. However, nothing but perfect fourths and fifths here sound a little hollow to me as well, but more than that, it's soft. It's a little like well, ice. Okay, a cold place at least. Okay, so before she said a word, and the word winter is going to be in the first sentence she sings. We have an impression that wherever we are, it sounds a little it's special at least, right? It's not typical. Okay, might have been even icier up here. Anyway, that's what we get there. Great. Now let's talk about the melody itself. Now I know this little chart I'm showing over here. It seems hopelessly complicated, but let me just draw your attention to two things. Okay, this line that goes all the way across on the top here connects E flat, another E flat, another E flat, another E flat, another E flat, and another E flat. Okay, that's several E flats. We begin there, we end there. She climbs above it, she gets a little bit below it, but it's the beginning, it's the end, it's the middle, right? It's the most important pitch in the song. Okay, so look, when people say This music is in G major. It's not just it just doesn't automatically become magical. That's the case. That G is going to be the most important note. Okay, she does some tried and true things here to make E flat the most important thing. For example, the first three notes. Okay, four, but E flat, F, D flat. Okay, a step above, a skip below, and back to E flat. Okay, the note above, the note below, back to the first note. Okay, great way to identify E flat as important. Okay, what happens after that? She climbs up, straight up. E flat, F, G flat, A flat. Okay, this is much higher than we got in measure one, but then it falls down to D flat. Okay, now we've been on D flat before. Remember the third note? What happened? The D flat moves back to E flat. Same thing happens here at the end. Well, in the middle, actually. It's G flat, A flat, D flat, E flat. Okay, why do I point this out? Because in both cases, it's the note through which we get back to F. Sorry, I mean, through which we get back to E flat. I'm going to talk about F in a second. Okay, so E flat, somewhere else, and then back D flat, and here's E flat. It happens again, and it gets even higher, but D flat, E flat. Okay, she starts the cycle over. Measure 3 is the same as measure 1, just about. Okay, and then here's G flat. Rather than getting as high as A flat, this time it just steps down the E flat. G flat, F, E flat. Okay? So, is that closure? Sort of. It is melodically, but it isn't harmonically. Okay, the first E flats are with E flat harmony. E flat minor harmony. Hear it? Okay, the last E flat here, well, in measure 2 and 4, in both cases, the E flat is supported by A flat minor. So she's back at an E flat, but the harmony is somewhere else. Okay, so that's not closure. Okay, every time we hear it, as I mentioned already, we expect, okay, this is the end of the cycle and we're going to hear a new one. True, but it keeps the music continuous. That believe me, you wouldn't like it as much if she kept coming, ending on E flat, and then starting fresh on E flat, because it wouldn't be fresh. Okay, the move to A flat at the end of every two measures, at least in the verse here, in the verse accompaniment in the introduction, that helps the piece keep moving along continuously. Okay, so let's hear her play it and her sing it, and let's consider what we learn about our protagonist. Actually, back to the very beginning. Here we go. Okay, if you were counting, and you probably weren't, but that's okay, I wasn't either. But if you were, you would have been able to count to 4. This is music in 4/4, 4 quarter notes in every measure, and you would not have been wrong too, because something significant happens every 4 beats. Great. She adds an extra 2 beats at the end of the introduction, and that will come back later. Well, let's flag that because it's going to be important. It's going to be even more important later. Here it is. It's an extension. It's 2 extra beats. She's on that A flat minor with an added B flat harmony I was telling you about. Okay, and rather than go right back to E flat, she holds it and brings out a note in the middle. Here it is. Okay, an extra 2 beats. What's it doing there? Well, it throws off the symmetry, I'll tell you that. Right? If you could count to 4, and I know you can, if you were dancing to it in a pattern of 4, there's where you get screwed up. Oh, and she goes right back to 4 after this little extension. So what's it doing? I think, and I think she's trying to paint the picture here. She's going to go back to a time. She's about to tell us about when she was a child. Hard to say. Could be 4, 5, 6. Hard to say. Not clear. But she tells us she feels a little warm in her heart. Oh, note the contrast. Warm in her heart when I think of winter. Okay, so this cold setting here is not just looking out the window today. Maybe she is doing that, but she's thinking about a time many years in the past when she was younger during winter, and the extension here suspends time for a couple extra beats. It's a little like the ellipsis. Okay, what's that? Remember the dot 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 sometimes you see? Okay, sentences that end with and then it all went away or something like that. In this case, I think it's more of a once upon a time because we're going back in time to the beginning of this little fairy tale. Oh, and we're going to get clues that that she lives in a fairy tale world as well. Okay, so let's listen to the first verse and her and talk about what we learn about our protagonist. Remember, she's going to be singing the same melody, just lower down here. Okay, in her mezzo soprano range. Okay, Tori, take it away.
Snow can wait, I forgot my mittens. Wipe my nose, get my new boots on. I get a little warm in my heart when I think of winter. I put my hand in my father's glove.
Extension. Back to 4.
I run off where the drifts get deeper.
We have a new instrument here.
Sleeping Beauty
Strings from the orchestra.
trips me with a
They're
frown.
not doing much.
I hear a voice, you must learn to stand up for yourself, 'cause I can't always be around.
Okay, so there's the end of the first verse. Actually, not quite the end. I want to talk about that next. But okay, what do we get? We know that her father's around. Now we know she's young, first of all, right? She talks about mittens and gloves. Now I guess no mittens from her, gloves from her father, and boots. Yes, I still wear boots in the snow, but I no longer wear mittens. That's that's for childhood. Maybe it shouldn't be. At any rate, so we hear that. We hear that she gets a little warm in her heart when she thinks of winter. So these are pleasant memories. Okay. What else do we get? We get, that we know her father's there. She puts her hand in his glove, and we get the extra 2 beats that I mentioned before. Maybe she's thinking about him a little more. Some kind of wistful moment during that extension. Then we get back to 4/4. Okay. So what do we hear? Oh, Sleeping Beauty trips her with a frown. Okay, so she lives in a mythological world in which Sleeping Beauty actually frowns at her, like she has feelings and is disapproving of something, which tells us a little bit about what's going on, right? It seems to be her conscience, perhaps, disapproving of some of the falling she's doing. And she then runs off. She's adventurous. She runs off to where the drifts get deeper. Not just adventurous, maybe a little dangerous, okay? Because, well, her father cries out. He says, you must learn to stand up for yourself because I can't always be around. So I think we're able to take from that she's fallen again, or at least more than once, okay? And he wants to impart the sense that I can't always be here to pull you out of the snow. You have to do that yourself. But of course, it's more than that. It just can't be about snow, right? No, it's about life. It's about the many things that are going to happen in life. And we're going to find that out in the chorus momentarily. Okay, so the moment her father says, I can't always be around, we hear another one of those extensions. Okay, here's where I stop the music, and I'll go back to it in a second. But here she is saying, and I won't always be around. The piano takes over with that little extension. nothing but piano here, and it's very soft. And she actually says, half spoken, he says. So we know she's going back to or continuing her father's speech to her, and the half spoken part is a little odd, I know, but why not, right? It sets it off as something different. He says, and he doesn't sing. He says this, right? So she goes into speech, and it gives us the impression that someone else is speaking right here. Okay. So tender moment coming up. The softest thing yet, even though it's soft. It did start pretty softly, I know. And she says, "When you gonna make up your mind?" So that's her father saying, "When are you gonna make up your mind?" Now we don't know what he's talking about exactly here, but he's asking a question. We know that. Okay, so that's the first fragment of the chorus, and just before that, we have the extension. Let's listen to another wistful moment in which the music, there's an extension in the music, and we're not exactly sure what the time signature is anymore. Go ahead, Tori.
He says, when you gonna make up your mind?
Again, let me count just before then, so you believe me when I'm talking about the extension.
Must learn
1, 2,
to
3,
stand
4.
up
1,
for
2,
yourself, 'cause I
4.
can't
1,
always be
2,
around.
3, 4. 1,
He
2.
says,
1,
when you
2,
gonna
3,
make up
4.
your
1,
mind?
2, 3, 4. So she's back to 4/4 after just the little insertion of those 2 extra beats. Okay, it's details like this that set this song apart from, well, a lot of her other things. And you know what? Most songs where you can keep counting from 4 from the very beginning till the very end. Now, that doesn't have to be a bad thing. I'm just saying it's ear catching when she does this. Okay, so one of the best moments of the song, and one I'm going to spend a lot of time on, happens next. When she sings the first vocal fragment of the chorus. Remember, this is her father talking now. When you going to make up your mind? Okay, she sings a little higher than before. Well, G flat was as high as she got with "What I Can't Always Be Around," right? The music kept falling back down to E flat. Now she's starting on G flat and climbing higher. When you gonna make up your mind? The A flat. She did touch A flat earlier, but B flat is new. Okay, so look, whether you were keeping score or not with the vocal range, and you probably weren't, you were just listening to the song, I think part of you knows that the B flat's higher. Okay, you've heard the music in a box before. You've heard over a minute of the music stuck in this pitch box between, well, the D flat above middle C and the B flat above that. Okay, or the A flat above that. It's called a fifth range. Here's the 6th note, finally. Okay, might not be that big of a deal if we don't have a key change here, and we do. Okay, so she was in E flat minor to start the song, and for all the verses, right? Many cycles of harmonies in E flat minor. Well, what happens here? G flat major. Okay, now these keys are related in a way I can't really get into at the moment. It doesn't sound like a completely new universe, right? But the lift to the major harmony of G flat and the melodic note of E flat and all these eighth notes, okay, even rhythms, finally, right? The 8 eighth notes in a row are different than, well, the very varied rhythm of the of the verse. So the chorus is a little different in that her father, it seems, is trying to be very clear here. She sings softly, so you have to lean in and listen. When you gonna make up your mind? Now, we don't know exactly what he's talking about. We'll find out in a second. Okay, that's nice. What's next? But what about the word mind? Okay, she gets to an A flat. A flat doesn't belong in the G flat harmony. When you gonna make up your mind? Do you hear how that doesn't quite belong? Okay, doesn't last very long before she changes to E flat minor again. But she stays on A flat in her voice, and we get this. A flat doesn't belong in E flat minor harmony either. Okay? So, in her voice, we have, while she's singing a sentence that's a question, so it ends hanging in the air. Okay, that's good. It's an unresolved dissonance. It should have fallen down. When you gonna make up your mind? When you gonna make up your mind? That would be the standard resolution there. Sorry about the singing, by the way. I'm a piano player. Okay. It does, however, resolve in her piano part. Okay, her piano part, the A flat, when we first hear it, gains an F natural below it. Now, F natural doesn't work in G flat major either. It sounds, here's G flat, right? The F doesn't belong, nor does the A flat. Neither note belongs. Okay, when she changes harmony to E flat in the piano and her voice, as I explained, she's still holding that A flat with F. Okay, neither note belongs in E flat. Okay, the piano keeps moving though, and it does move down to notes in E flat. There it is, okay? And just in case it wasn't clear, she plays it again in the little interlude before her next vocal fragment. Here's a rise to B flat and A flat, G flat. Okay, so that was just what she just sang on Make Up Your Mind. And the piano resolved, and then again, here it is up there. Maybe she meant to have an echo, hard to say. But what we do get is another dissonance. She changes the harmony to C flat major. Okay, when her voice is gone by this time, and the piano is playing a second version of, and when she gets to A flat, it doesn't belong in C flat, but then it does go to G flat. Ah, good. Okay, so we have two resolutions of the A flat to G flat in this one little measure here, and the A flat doesn't work in in all three harmonies that it is part of, and when it finally moves to G flat, it is. Okay, so this sticks out. When I first heard it, I said, "Wow, what is that?" And she knows that too. And her orchestrator, Mr. DeCaro, knew that as well, because when we hear this later in the song, it's going to be accentuated even more, and then it forms the climax of the song later. Okay? Now, just to make sure you understand what I'm talking about here, what I want to do is strip away the A flat. Okay? What if the vocal melody had just notes that were in the melody? It would sound like this, or sorry, just notes that worked in the harmony, okay? It would look like this over here. It would be very simple. It would be, when you gonna make up your mind. That's it. Or, sorry, the bass, then I guess there's a third chord in there, right? When you gonna make up your mind. I guess that's not bad. The song would not have endured for, these 29 years if she did not fill in your mind with the note in between and not move it to G flat. Okay? Oh, the piano moves to G flat. Okay? But this is not the song, right? This is a simplification of the song, and sometimes it helps you appreciate what you're actually hearing when you hear it ruined like that. So it's my job, you're welcome, to come in and ruin the song for you, which I'm very good at, to show you what it could have been. Or should I say, perhaps how it started, and how the actual surface of the music works against some of the things to bring out some notes and to make it sound, well, it's dissonant. He's asking a question. It should be dissonant. It's an exquisite dissonance, too. I love it. She loves it. And she's going to do it several times. Okay. The next vocal fragment. When you gonna... Same thing. Starts off just like the last one. When you gonna love you as much as I do. Okay. This line's a little longer. She's got a few more words to get out. But it gets to the same place. When you gonna love you as much as... Here's that A flat. That doesn't belong in E flat, and it does get there this time in the piano and her voice. Great, okay. Except then she jumps to E flat, and the E flat moves to D flat, D flat does not work in the C flat major harmony. Here's C flat major. Okay? Here's D flat. It's stuck and it doesn't really belong there. Right? Whether you know that or not, it's part of you, I think, can tell this note doesn't sound quite stable at that moment. Okay? And it matters. What's happening here is we have dissonant notes stacking up on each other, one after another. It keeps the music moving forward. Oh wait, let's let her do it. And sorry, you have to let me wash away some of my bad singing with her, her version of the chorus. She does it much better.
Always be
Here we go.
around. He says, when you gonna make up your mind? When you gonna love you as much as I do? When you gonna make up your mind?
Okay, so we get a third statement that begins exactly the same as the first and is not going to end there. I'll get to that in a second. The other thing, moving the music along at this point is something called syncopations. Fancy word, I know, syncopation. What it means is, well, there's a couple different kinds, but in this case, and the case or the kind we have most commonly in rock and pop music, is emphasis between the beat and at the expense of things that are on the beat. Okay, so the words much as I do, the last four syllables in this line here, are all between the beats. Okay, now I know there's not a drummer banging out the 4/4 here, but by this time we've gotten used to where the beat is, even if she's not playing something explicitly every time there. Okay, and she does mark it with the left hand in the piano part. Here's what I mean. When you gonna make up your mind? Okay, your and mind sorry, no, just mine was between the beat. Your mind. When you gonna love you as much as I do? All four of my last notes, her four last notes, were between the beat. Okay, I know. It's subtle. It doesn't smack you in the face because this is not we don't have the drummer really playing both the beat and the melody at the same time. But it's important that the song would sit there. Hey, let me ruin it again. When you gonna love you as much as I do? Okay, not quite right. It kind of sits down and says, yeah, this is music in 4/4. The syncopation keeps it leaning forward. Okay? Great. Let's look what happens next because, well, she knows she's doing it a third time and she's not going to do it the same way a third time. She introduces a little change to the second half of it. Okay, so she begins the same way, but when she gets to mind, the voice, again, still unresolved. The piano resolves it, but then, 'cause things are gonna change so fast. Okay, what's good about that? Well, first of all, it's happening too early. At that exact moment, we had the first time through go into silence, the second time through continue with more words that got lower and lower. But now she's singing the next line, and that straddles this measure and goes into the next one and through the rest of the chorus, and with a new high note. Right? She jumps up 'cause things are gonna change. It's a C flat. Again, just like the B flat, it's not that much higher, but it does break out of our new pitch box space just by a little bit. And you hear that well, she's getting more excited here. And she sings a little louder as well, sure. Okay, so not only that, when she gets into things are gonna change, change, we have B flat going to A flat yet again. Okay, the A flat, well, look at my example here. It's an eighth note tied to a half note. It's the longest A flat we've had yet in the chorus, right? She's touched that A flat several times and left it there hanging, or resolved it down, but now here it is, and finally it does get down to so. but A flat doesn't work in the key in G flat. There it is, and it does move down. So if you've heard it and you know what it sounds like when she sings that A flat there, um, there's something special about it. Okay, if you couldn't put your finger on it, that's okay. That's what I'm here for. It doesn't belong in the harmony. Yes, she puts a little vibrato on it. She sings it a little louder, and by this time, B flat going through a long A flat to G has become a motive, right? A way she builds the song moving forward. Okay, you've heard it before. Now you're hearing it even louder. Try it, Tori.
Mind, 'cause things are gonna change so fast. All the while.
Yes, very good. Okay, so we're into the second half of the chorus now. And she says, all the white horses are still in bed. Okay, I acknowledge I don't know what she's talking about here. Okay, there's a lot of inscrutable phrases in a lot of her songs, and this is one of them here. Now, in mythology, sometimes white horses are affiliated with um, the good guys, or maybe even the savior, or even the end times, if you look at the book of Revelations. But what we have here is another B flat, A flat, G flat. All the white horses are still in bed. Okay, the A flat. Another, I read another A flat, G flat resolution here. I think that's the fourth one, not counting the extra time she played it in the piano part. Okay, but for the voice, there's another A flat, G flat resolution. Also, while the orchestra came in for Things Are Going to Change So Fast, right away she withholds it for All the White Horses Are Still in Bed. Oh, it's in there, but it's soft suddenly. And then things start moving faster. Okay, so things are moving faster here in the second half of the chorus. Why? Well, it's what her father said. Things are going to move so fast. And I remember being that young and I couldn't figure out how you get from childhood to adulthood. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me. Still never really did, by the way. But yeah, things did change fast. Wow. Did adolescence hit hard. Okay, so he's warning her about learning to take care of herself, learning to accept herself, making up her mind to love herself as much as he already does. Okay, so there's a line I've left out of my analysis here because I don't have all night, but it is. The next line is she says, I say, I will always want you near. Okay, so she's looking at a time. She expects, at least this time in her life, she of course expects her father will always be there. And he replies, "You say that things change, my dear." Um, Actually, I got that wrong. But no, yeah, he says you things. That's right. That is the correct words. But the change, my dear, is just is a shorter version of what he said before. No, things are going to change, and by that I take it to mean that no, he's not always going to be around. That's the first thing he said, right? Okay, so that line is even better than what we've had so far. Okay, it constitutes. This is the end of the chorus. It ends with "my dear." Okay, the end of the chorus is actually the beginning of the next verse accompaniment. Okay, we call that an overlap, when the end of one thing does double duty as the beginning of the next thing moving forward. Okay, we returned to E flat minor for "my dear." Okay, it came through D flat major, a harmony we haven't heard yet. My dear. Okay, the promise of D flat from the first notes of the melody is fulfilled here in the harmony, going through D flat major and to E flat minor. Great, and along the way we have another dissonance. Okay, so we have B flat, A flat, G again. That would be 6 times? I don't know, I've lost count. Maybe it's 8. But you say that things change. she leaves G flat immediately in favor of F. Here it is. Here's F. Okay. The F is over a C flat harmony. Here's C flat. Okay. But there's F change. That's not me singing flat. That's the wrong note. It's not wrong. She knows it's dissonant. She's trying to give us an extra dose of dissonance here that's even more poignant than the other dissonances before. Because, well, look, he's repeating it here, and maybe she's getting it. Maybe she's understanding. Hard to say. Furthermore, the left hand, the low notes in both her piano part and the orchestra have been really simple, just long notes to this point. When she says, you say that things change, we hear a solo cello start down here on E flat. Okay, so where I'm pointing to here. Okay, then suddenly it jumps up and comes down below E flat and back up to it. Okay, now, as I mentioned here above, it's under another A flat, G flat resolution. We've heard that several times. Rather than getting tired of it, now we get to hear it with a new part supporting it underneath. You know what's going to happen there. You know the A flat, at least you expect it to go down the G flat, and it sure does again. Okay? So she gives us something else to listen to here. The music is more complicated with the second part, that's to be sure. But you know what? I think it's looking forward to the next verse, to, well, the next stage in her life where things are going to get more complicated. Well, here, let's listen.
Say that things change.
Okay, so the resolution to E flat with E flat in the bass is the strongest confirmation we've had yet of E flat. The chorus started in G flat. It could have ended there. It didn't. Along the way, the key progresses back, or regresses, if you want to look at it that way, back to our original E flat. So G flat was a mirage. Okay, let's keep that in mind. It's going to happen again. The next time through the verse, the music is the same. The melody, the chords, just about the same all the way around. There's a couple different melodic embellishments. The orchestra plays a few more notes along the way, but it's essentially the same. Okay, so that's to be expected. That's what makes it a verse, right? Same music, new words. So what do we get in the words? Well, she's talking about adolescence or her teenage years, and it's later in winter. She says that the snow is melting, and she says she's skating. She's skating around the edge of who she should be. Okay, so it's not just the edge of the pond or the lake, wherever we are here, right? She tells us the ice is getting thin. So she seems to be a little more aware that that things are not quite right, that she's headed for danger. Okay, but she says it. She says, "I, yes, I know, Dad. The ice is getting thin." So we know her father has spoken and said, "Be careful, the ice is getting thin." Okay, but it's not about ice. Oh, of course, it's not. It's about what's going on in the many changes that happen in your teenage years, or maybe even early 20s, right? And I think that's also what we get in the other words. She says something about boys get discovered as winter ends. That she compares herself to flowers competing for the sun and for a crystal palace, which I take to be boyfriends and marriage. I could be wrong, but that seems clear. These are complicated things, and she's probably just getting a hold of it. And her father, he was right before. He told her, "Watch out for this." Okay, second chorus, same as the first. Actually, she changes one word. She says, "All the white horses have gone ahead." So that was probably significant, but again, I'm not sure. If you want to chime in the comments about white horses, be my guest. Okay, so that moment that I spent so much time on in the chorus comes back, and now it's louder with more instruments in the orchestra. Let's get to it.
But I only can see
Here we go.
myself
Nope.
skating
Still verse.
when you
Here we go.
gonna make up your mind.
Okay, it's already louder.
'Cause things are gonna change so fast.
Okay, our orchestra is playing a little louder, right? While that A flat is dissonant, we have it in the strings and even higher in the strings, right? So she, along with her orchestrator and conductor, are emphasizing that dissonance with more volume and more instruments. Great. What happens after that? Okay, well, we've heard a verse, a chorus, a verse, and a chorus. You expect to hear another verse. Well, you don't. Okay, we hear a section that I'm going to refer to as the bridge. Now, the great thing about the bridge, however, is it's not completely new. She derives it from the verse. Here's what I mean. We have a new melody in the bridge, right on the downbeat of the bridge. Also when the Irish war drum starts, by the way. Oh, and it's not playing really a martial beat, but it is rhythmic, and it's identifying the beginning of every measure. But okay, so the orchestra plays B flat, A flat, E flat, D flat, da da ba ba. So B D D D. Pretty, right? Nice. Okay, that's new, or is it? It's not. Go back to measure 2. Remember measure 2? You must learn to be proud. G flat, A flat, D flat, E flat. It's the exact music we're about to hear in the bridge, and now it's upside down. It's inverted in the bridge. What goes up now is going down, and what was going down now is going up. All right, so again, step up, jump down, step up becomes step down, jump up, step down. Okay, it's clever. It's really clever. We don't hear this in 99 point something % of rock music. It's likely she studied Bach growing up, J.S. Bach, who would use the inversion of an important melody if he thought it worked well in the song. And she tried it here, and it worked. Maybe she didn't study Bach, but she sure used it effectively here. We have new music going forward that really isn't actually new. It's just a variation of something earlier. What is new is measure 2 here, or measure 2 of our verse. There's a new rhythm, this dotted 8th note, G, G, A, G, E flat. Okay? In fact, all of the pitch material here is from what we call a pentatonic scale. Okay? E flat minor pentatonic. It's actually a subset of E flat natural minor that she's been using in the verses before, but now it's more concise. And the addition of the war drum, the instruments in the orchestra playing that, and the increased volume, and this melody that actually does get more aggressive, ba-da-ba-ba, tells us that, look, something is happening here. Something is clearly different. Okay? And in fact, when you use nothing but the pentatonic scale, the harmonies you get are all perfect fourths and perfect fifths. Okay, so that goes back to my point about those intervals from, well, the very beginning. So when she starts singing in the chorus, she adds another track of herself singing a background vocal that's higher than what her lead vocal is, and it's this melody. It's the inversion of B flat, A flat, E flat, D flat. Okay, so we hear multiple melodies, a combination of new and old melodies, because when she comes in singing with the lead vocals here, it is the same thing as the verse, but we hear it differently. Our bass line is different. Remember before there were 4 chords, now there are only 3. E flat minor, G flat again, followed by A flat. So it keeps rising up like this. Okay? It's related, it's close, but it's not the same as the cycle of harmonies we had in the verse. Let's hear Tori do it rather than have me sing it again. Here we go. so there's the end of our bridge section. Her father says, well, okay, well, the words change. Hair is gray, and the fires are burning. Okay, hard to tell whose hair is gray here, but her father's going to get gray hair first, probably, right? Maybe she has it as well. Hard to say how many years have gone past here. But gray hair, yeah, I'm starting to get it as well. He's at least in his 50s, or maybe 60s, maybe even 70s. Maybe she's already in middle age now and can see that her father doesn't have long to live. I just went through it with an aging parent who passed away. Okay, we had talks about our whole lives, about the end of life. You do this. Okay, so her father says, "I always wanted you to be proud." Right. So he's repeating what he said in the first and second verses, first times through this idea. He says it again, and she says, "I always wanted that myself." So we are clear now that she gets it. Okay? Maybe she's telling him for the first time, and maybe she's saying it out loud to herself for the first time, but in either case, they're connecting. So while I'm not sure they were really connecting, on these matters while she was young or as a teenager, they seem to be now. Okay, so time has passed. His hair is gray. The fires are burning. I take that to mean his joints hurt because, well, I had the same problem in my early 50s. Okay, that moment. What a special moment. Okay, she says, "I always wanted that myself." It's the same A flat harmony with an E flat in the melody and the same melody up there. It's a little higher than before, but she adds, instead of an extra 2 beats, an extra 6. Okay, so while we may have come to expect the 2 beat extension at this point, she throws in 4 more in order to say, okay, lean in further, really listen this time, because something special is going to happen. And that's what she pays it off. She actually promises us that and gives us the climax coming up after this. Okay, now when the first time through she said, "He says, when you going to make up your mind," right? This time she just inhales. Okay, look, the piano is fading away as pianos do, and the strings go away, and all we hear is Tori saying, "It's an inhale." That's not very musical, is it? Well, you know what? It works. When people inhale, we expect them to say something, or in this case, sing something, right? Or maybe when they inhale drastically or dramatically, that's what I meant. We expect them to sneeze, right? You expect something to happen, and that's exactly what happens here. So the right in extended extension makes us lean in and listen, and we get the softest moment of the song, "When you gonna make up your mind," yet again. Okay, let's hear her do it.
When you gonna make up your mind?
Okay, she's singing so softly that the pitches aren't quite coming out all perfectly. It's very breathy here, but that's okay. That's the style in well, in a lot of pop music, I know. Okay, so it's just Tori and her piano singing the most tender version of "When You Gonna Make Up Your Mind." Okay, now she already told him that she wanted to be proud, but we hear it again as if the two of them are agreeing. Okay, or perhaps it's just Tori. Perhaps he's fading out here. Perhaps she's just saying it alone. Hard to say, but let's hear what happens next. The orchestra comes in full force. Ready?
When you gonna love you as
Soft at
much
first.
as I do?
And now.
When you gonna make up your mind? 'Cause things are gonna change.
Oh, that is glorious. Okay, what happened? Well, it's the same harmony as before. It's the B flat, A flat, G flat. It's in an instrument called the French horn. And it's kind of high for the French horn. It's blaring up there. But an instrument takes over the special dissonance we've been hearing since, the first chorus. And the strings got louder and louder, and their harmony, it's the harmony of A flat minor that it's E flat minor that the strings are playing a big, huge, more notes than I can even reach with my 10 fingers here, against that harmony. The French horn, A flat, G flat, and the moment the French horn gets to G flat, or should I say before that moment, she overlaps because things are going to change so fast. She doesn't even allow the French horn to resolve before she moves on with the things are going to change so fast. So the song is still leaning forward here. Okay? The ending.
So vast, all the white horses have gone ahead. I tell you that no way is one you near. You say that things change, my dear.
Okay. Same ending as before, some more instruments in the orchestra. But after the glorious emphasis, or maybe apotheosis, if you want to go that far, of the dissonance, I think that's the climax of the song, and it's coming down after that. And now, with the subtraction of some of the orchestra, not all of it, she's back down to just herself and piano. Now, one last thing that's great about this song, okay? The very last note, there's a single note, and it's E flat. Okay, nothing surprising about that. The song kept getting back to E flat, right? We expect, and that serves as closure. In fact, in this case, it comes from C flat through D flat to E flat. Okay, we've heard that happen before. At the end of each chorus, she's repeating that. What is strange, though, is the melody above, way up here now, gets the G flat, F, and stops. It could have, as it did before, G flat, F, E flat. Okay? We could have had that. She could have played it and just left it there. It would have been unresolved. Okay. But altogether with the bass, it's G flat, F, E flat. Only the lower note, not the upper one. The upper one is implied. I suppose you can sort of fill it in mentally, but it's not there. It's not a mistake. She must have known what she was doing. She wanted to end the song with a single note. Now, yes, it's a focused resolution to E flat. I'll tell you that. That's sure. But it's only in one part. It could have been E flats all over the place, right? That myself, right? That would have been E flat brilliantly, and then we know it's over, right? It's an intimate single E flat down here, and it was abandoned up here. Well, what would abandon her late in the song? Her father, right? He's going to pass away. He said he won't always be there. Maybe he's already gone earlier. It's hard to say. And I don't think it's reaching too far to read that into it. There has to be a reason. Of all the ways she could have ended the song, that she decided to end it on a solitary note when from measure one we've been hearing harmony, right? Chord, melody and harmony, right? A fuller texture than single notes. Okay? Listen to what I mean. Here's the very ending.
Never change.
A little orchestra comes back.
All the white horses
And the horses. New low notes in the melody. Strange, huh? Why not? Why should there be a strong ending? Okay? The song is about vulnerability. It's about a weakness that you'd better learn to stand up for yourself, that she's been grappling with for the entire 5.5 minutes or 40 years, however much time goes by here, right? Maybe it should just end with the E flat. Maybe she has learned to stand up for herself. Maybe she hasn't. Maybe going forward she will. Hard to say. But at least it seems like her father made his point by the end, or at least they came together on that. So whether she's alone or not, he made his mark. Okay? It's this kind of intergenerational connection that I say, or uh, I think is makes Tori a little wise beyond her years, because she's only 28 at this point, and she's guessed properly. She will probably get closer to her father eventually. Uh, Thanks for listening. Thank you for your time and attention. More videos coming soon.